Welcome to the NXT Podcast, your home for weekly NXT reviews and insight.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
Find all of your NXT news, recaps, and analysis right here. So with that being said, we only have one question for you.
Are you ready?
We thought so. Let's get the show started right now.
Oh man, NXT 2.0 podcast time. Zachary Smith, I'm your host. You knew that. Excited to be here with you for another week of NXT 2.0. Now, it has taken me some time to fully come to grips with the fact that I am now going to review a consistently bad television show. And listen, I don't know how much impact like Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard are going to have on every episode, like every episode individually. But I do know ever since they were going to be making some more of the decisions, this has turned into a main roster show, but without any talent you care about, which is fine. You can develop talent, except that they don't do that, so they can't. But I have come to grips with the fact that this is just going to be a Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard style television show, and I've never enjoyed their kind of television show. So we're going to be talking about a bad episode of NXT, but there are a lot of things to make fun of, so there is that. Before we get started, you can always find me on Twitter at ZachNXT, at ZACHNXT, talking wrestling, other fun stuff over there. Now, usually go through some headlines of stuff that's going on in WWE. First one is Bleacher Report. Is Kevin Owens destined to leave WWE for AEW? Oh, absolutely he is. Why in the world would he stay with WWE? He was not taken seriously when he was the Universal Champion. Imagine now. He has gone from Raw to SmackDown to Raw to SmackDown, and every time he's on Raw, he says, well, maybe I need to go to SmackDown for a fresh start. Every time he's on SmackDown, maybe I need to go to Raw for a fresh start. Nope, he's a big dude who doesn't look like what Vince McMahon wants a wrestler to be. He's never going to be important there. I don't know why he's still a good guy. He teased turning heel. He's a good guy, which doesn't play into his best skills. So that's a challenge for him. He's one of the best heels in the world, and I don't know why you would have him be a babyface. He's gonna absolutely go to AEW, and I cannot wait to watch him in AEW. It's gonna be great. Tony Khan on Mox's replacement. We don't know who the replacement's going to be. They have their title eliminator tournament that they're doing, and it was supposed to be Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley, and then Tony Khan announced on his Twitter that Jon Moxley's entering a treatment center for alcohol. I'm sure Mimi's going to cover this on the AEW podcast side of things, so I won't go too much into it other than to say I imagine that had to be a very, very, very difficult decision that he made for him and Renee and their child, and I am weirdly, although he doesn't need it, I am proud of him for making that decision before it became a tragedy, and I hope that he is able to come out of this and come back as a even better version of himself, maybe even a more focused one. He's the kind of guy who wrestles through stuff anyway, and some things are bigger than just wrestling, and so when you have something like that, it takes a lot to stop what you are doing when you are on the kind of role that he has been in. It's hard to stop that, but I think he made the right decision, and I just hope that he's going to be back. Cain Velasquez story. That's a random one. Let's see. So he got talking about how Cain Velasquez got the match with Brock Lesnar on a pay-per-view for the WWE title. Or was it the Universal title? It does not matter. And then during the pandemic, he was released. Says he has no regrets about what happened. He says, I think it was meant for me to go there. I am glad I got the experience of knowing what it's all about, knowing how the company works, how the guys work, everything. It was a great learning experience. I learned a lot from it. And all I can do is take that and make it better next time if I do get another chance. So in December, he's actually going to make his return to the ring under the Lucha Libre AAA Worldwide banner, it says. He had actually been wrestling a bit before he went to WWE. I think it was under a mask. He says, quote, I think they wanted me to stay in that MMA zone. They wanted me to have that rivalry with Brock, but they really weren't willing to put the time in to have us work together to do that. They wanted us to do that, and well, you know how that is. He said, it is what it is. That was just me going into it and really just trying to figure out what it was. It was thrown at me all at once. I was there for whatever anybody needed. I'm sorry that I, let everybody down. It hurt me as well. I expected more. Velasquez said his previous UFC win over Lesnar did play somewhat of a factor. So there's always going to be friction with that. So yeah, there was, but working together, we didn't work much, but talking to him for just a little bit, I just know where he comes from just from that little time spent. I know what he's about. I respect him for that. Okay, so what we did here is we took a story where Cain Velasquez basically said, hey man, I had a lot of fun and did some good stuff. Sorry I let people down. There's probably a little bit of maybe some weirdness between me and Brock because of the UFC win when we were working together all of a sudden, and MMA Fighting, the website, took that and decided the best headline would be Cain Velasquez details WWE exit friction with Brock Lesnar. Even though literally all he says is that, yeah, there's probably a little friction, but we talked so little. And yeah, it sucks I was released, but I'll be better if there's a next time around. So that was a super misleading clickbait headline. All right, listen, enough of tricking me into clicking on articles that are going to make me never visit your site again. We have a show to talk about. Important note, they edited the Then Now Forever sound again. I imagine that's not important to anybody but me, but I'm the only one that talks on this show, so you're going to hear about it. Toxic Attraction music starts us off. They hold all the gold now on the women's side. Mandy Rose is your new women's champion. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane are your NXT women's tag champions. So it's actually just Mandy making her entrance. Wade Barrett compares the dominance of Toxic Attraction to the dominance of the Bloodline on SmackDown. That's Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Paul Heyman. All right, man. So, maybe let's relax. Let's relax a little. Toxic Attraction's cool. Let's settle down. Mandy Rose says it feels good. She says, I told you all that I was on a whole other level. The crowd starts a "You deserve it, no you don't" dueling chant. That's always a fun one. She said, told you week after week I was going to become champion. I am a woman of my word. I did that. I'm pretty sure Mandy Rose said that she was the baddest B word in this GD company. I'm used to them using the B word, but there were two bleeps, and the only word that makes sense in that sentence is GD. I'm the baddest B word in this GD company, which is pretty fun. She says, with this title around my waist, as the title is on her shoulder, feels like we should have all of Toxic Attraction out here and not just Mandy. Mandy says, I know you were all watching and thinking, damn, I'm hot. I was not thinking that. I'm not super into having discussions about how attractive people are. I think that's a little bit weird. Like, dude, that chick is so hot. I think that's weird. But it should be noted that while I am generally uncomfortable with the concept of the women on the show being portrayed as just, oh man, they're so attractive. I have never looked at Mandy Rose and been like, oh man, she's so hot. I look at her as a wrestler, and I don't like objectify wrestlers, whether they are men, whether they are women, whether they are, anything in between or outside of that. So I was never thinking, dang, she's really hot. I was thinking, thank goodness she took the title from Raquel. She said, I know you're also thinking, where are my ladies? She looks at the screen and it shows a video in the back where Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne have taken out Zoe Stark in the back. She said, I taught them well. Poor Zoe. Zoe is selling her leg. I think Zoe Stark was injured at Halloween Havoc, and this is covering that up. Or rather, giving an explanation why she might not be on TV for a while. That's fine. Let's let Io do something by herself, huh? She said, nobody's going to stop us, but if there's anyone that thinks differently, and immediately is interrupted by Io Shirai, obviously, because as soon as Io Shirai wasn't with Zoe Stark anymore, she's just Io Shirai. And if you say something that pertains to that title or Io, she's going to come out and see you. Io says, I saw what you did. I don't like Zoe, me neither, but I like you even less. I want the leader of Toxic Attraction. I want you right here, right now. Mandy says, everybody used to be scared of you, but it's my show now. Says, you want to go right now? Fine, let's get a ref out here. When Io turns to look, she cheap shots Io. Io takes down Mandy. She's going to hit the moonsault on her, but she is beaten down by Toxic Attraction. For a minute, she is taking them down, and then Mandy gets back into the ring, and they're taking her out before Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro were here, so that's good. So I presume then that that's your next women and women's tag title challengers, Io for Mandy and Casey and Caden for Gigi and Jacy. I would assume that's what we're doing. Interesting thing. So now Toxic Attraction is on the outside of the ring, and the other three women, nailed it, are inside the ring. And when wrestlers are doing a face-off like that, they do this thing where they are making a face like they're disgusted, usually the bad guys, and they're talking, or rather their mouth is moving, but they are either not actually producing noise because you don't need to, or they are talking very, very low. They're usually not saying anything. Like 99.9% of wrestlers will just do that in that situation. So all three of the good women, the good guy women, the babyface women, are doing that, and Mandy and Jacy Jayne are also doing that. But on the outside, Gigi Dolan is silently staring at the three of them in the ring, which was much more intimidating than somebody talking. I had not seen somebody do that before, I don't think. And it's a small thing and probably doesn't matter, but it was fun. That was good. That was much more interesting. Back from break, Dakota Kai's here. She's still being weird. She's like twitchy. Like I don't know if she's supposed to be like hearing voices or having dark thoughts or what. She looks like she needs a fix and has not procured that yet and is trying to keep it together. Which I don't know if that's what they're going for. I imagine it's not. And I would say I'm sure we're going to get an explanation, but I'm certainly not sure of that. But she's being weird. Cora Jade makes her entrance. All I know about Cora Jade is that she skates and she's really young. I forget if she's the youngest performer or wrestler in WWE, but I think so because they tell me a lot. So Dakota's still being weird. So Dakota's just going to be weird now. So like she lost to Raquel and now she's like if Alexa Bliss was a 10 when she was the Fiend spinoff character, Dakota's like a 2 or a 3 on that list, but it's in kind of the same vein, it feels like, which is, I'm going to be honest, is probably going to be bad. Dakota beats her down. She drags Cora on the outside by her hair next to the ring. She gets a table from under the ring and lays the table on top of her. The ref's trying to get her to stop. Dakota Kai then stands up onto the ring apron and looks like she is going to jump from the apron onto the table that is on top of Cora Jade. A spot that you could probably do as safely as one could do that spot, but it would look like it hurt a lot, and it probably would hurt. But then she looks like she's thinking about it, and then she gets down off of the apron, doesn't do anything, walks over to the ring steps, and for a second looks like she's going to get on the ring steps and jump, but doesn't. She gets Cora Jade's mini skateboard thing she comes out with and lays that mini skateboard on Cora Jade's stomach. So just very quickly to review. Drags her by her hair, bet that sucked, laid a piece of furniture on her, and then laid her own skateboard on top of her. This was lame as hell. Cora Jade seems cool. She's got cool tattoos. She skates. That's cool. She's very young. She's out here living her dream. I love that. Dakota Kai is an underrated wrestler. She's not going to be your top woman, but she is like right under that level. She is a kind of the top of the mid-card talent. You're essentially debuting a new character here, right? Because she's being weird. She's clearly a different version of Dakota Kai than we've seen before. So in essence, this is a debut of a bad guy character on your television show. And to cement that, you decided the absolute best way to present that in this character was to have her lay a table on somebody, not jump onto it, but think about it, and then lay that person's own skateboard on them. That's laying her own skateboard on her is good manners. That's returning something that doesn't belong to you. That my mom taught me that when I was a kid. Thank you, Dakota. That was very nice of you. Listen, is there a possibility that this is a more nuanced character and there are layers here that we don't see yet? Sure. But also absolutely not. That's not what WWE does. The last time they had a character like that was The Fiend. And that was only because Bray Wyatt thought of it, or Wyndham Rotunda thought of it. As soon as WWE really started liking it and changing it, that's when it got worse and less effective and oversaturated. Point being, WWE doesn't do this. They don't do nuanced characters with layers and, no, you gotta wait till the end of the story. They're gonna say that, fans react too quickly. They don't let stories play out. They don't let stories play out because your stories are bad and your characters are bad, and you're bad at presenting them. So yes, it is technically possible that this is a deep and nuanced character that reacts to things differently than you would necessarily think at first. Maybe she's only focused on hurting Raquel Gonzalez, so she takes out her frustrations on Cora, but she's not going to, hit Cora Jade with a shovel. It's only reserved for Raquel. And that would be a pretty cool story. She hates Raquel so much that she's the only one that she's going to attack. Is that possible? Sure it is. But I will bet you anything that is not what they are going to do. They thought it looked really cool, and it didn't. It looked lame. This character's already dumb, and I don't think that's what you would be going for. But then again, what the hell do I know? I've never run a wrestling company, I've never had a Stone Cold and a Rock and a Hulk Hogan, so I wouldn't know. This is bad, is the point here. MSK are at a bus stop. They're bummed about losing their tag titles, but they're still doing, I'm going to say comedy, but know that I don't mean it. That's not very good. They're at the bus stop. It seems as though they're meeting someone who they paid a lot of money to give them advice, and it's somebody that came up with the name MSK. And the dude that does less sit-ups starts to tell the story of the meaning behind MSK, but then a bus pulls up and sits there, and then when it pulls off, he's now finished the story. And then they both look and say, I think that was our bus. So those were both jokes. My fists clenched when I realized we were doing two jokes back to back. It was bad, man. It was not good. This is why people don't like MSK, because y'all writers think you're funny, and you're not. And that's okay. You don't have to be funny. But if you're not funny, stop trying to write jokes for people that might be funny. Just let them be funny. And then they go walk off and they said they pack snacks to go get advice from somebody, and I'm sure it's going to be great. Tune in next week. Zion Quinn is here from break. He's making his entrance. He's going to be fighting Robert Stone. Zion Quinn has a cool look to him. Robert Stone says, "You embarrassed me the other week. I am going to sing a song. I'm going to perform, and then I'm going to kick your butt." Robert Stone starts singing and freestyling to a song and dancing, and he's really into it, like really into it. DJ on Twitter, DJ Kuzmo, is, other than my mother, is probably my biggest fan. Shouts out. He usually sends me like one or two things from NXT that kind of generally tell me what kind of show it's going to be, and also the stuff that I make sure I talk about. And this was the one he sent me this week, and I hadn't seen the show yet, and I didn't know what in the hell to do with it. It's bad. Here's the thing. It's really bad, but you need to go watch Robert Stone doing whatever this was, because Robert Stone is really good at everything he does. He's real into it. He finishes the song. He hands the microphone to Zion Quinn. He yells off mic, "That was awesome. Yes." Zion Quinn's laughing. Robert Stone says, "Do you think you could do a better job?" Zion says, "I'm going to be honest. That was pretty interesting, but I only came here to beat you up." Oh, I just realized he's got the accent that it kind of sounded Australian. Okay, so he's Bronson Reed. I'm going to peek behind the curtain here. I had to just pause that recording to think of what Bronson Reed's name was because I could not remember it, and it was a solid 10 seconds of me staring at my wall trying to think of it. He's Bronson Reed, but he's taller and not what WWE thinks fat is. And so that's why that's how we released Bronson Reed, because he's short and we have a taller, more in shape version. Got it. Cool. So I'm going to be honest, that was pretty interesting, but I only came here to beat you up. Robert Stone at this point says, "That sounds like you are a chicken to sing." And the fans are chanting, and he says, No, he's a chicken to sing. And he starts acting out being a chicken. Zion Quinn has him hit the music. It's HBK's theme. Zion starts singing and dancing to the theme. He's beating up Robert Stone while he's singing. Robert Stone slaps him, and the music stops. The bell rings. Zion chucks Stone a million miles into the air. Zion's finisher is the jackhammer, and that's interesting because it's nice to see somebody who's actually able to hit that move. That's fun, and he wins. Zion Quinn's cool. I like him. Hey guys, Joe Gacy's back. He's talking about social media, bunch of nonsense. He's very understanding and welcoming and inclusive. He uses soft and safe and protective language and is very considerate, maybe even over-considerate, or uses an over amount of kind language. And WWE thinks that's what a bad guy is. And that, if that doesn't tell you a lot about the people at the decision-making level of WWE, I don't know what to tell you. Just based on the people that they took public photos with for photo ops, you can pretty much understand everything about how they'd feel about that. Joe Gacy says him and Harlan are going to change the world. They aren't. Joe Gacy could have been such an interesting character. Dude, if Joe Gacy was on AEW and Tony Khan got to work with him, I would have so much faith in this, and it would be so cool. And WWE is so bad at presenting anything other than like a John Cena or a Roman Reigns or a very black and white situation. They can't. If this character, like the other week when he was still smiling when Ciampa's music hit and the lights were on his face, like you could do such a cool, nuanced, scary, creepy character with that. And they're never going to. He's going to be the safe space guy, and only losers think safe spaces are a good thing. It's literally a safe space. It's a good thing, not a bad guy thing. I just wish Joe Gacy were not in WWE, because this could be such a good character that they are going to waste. And then somebody's going to ask Bruce Pritchard about it in 5 years. They're going to be like, kid didn't have it. Hate it. Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner are here. Hey, here's the problem. If you put two dudes together that I don't care about, that doesn't make me care about them as a team. And that's nothing against Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner, but boy, I don't care. Legado del Fantasma are in the ring. About 7 minutes for this match, so that's cool. 7 minutes, give or take. Plenty of time to establish a new team. Legado del Fantasma win off of a miscommunication between Wagner and O'Reilly. Wagner gets rolled up, but his feet were in the ropes. Ref didn't see it. Legado wins. Fine. I love it. I'm not upset at all, even though I think I'm supposed to be. They're both disappointed. Von Wagner goes for a fist bump with Kyle O'Reilly, and it cuts to break before Kyle can do it back, and that's just fine. I don't care if you fight or if you're a team. Back from break again, Solo Sikoa is here. So Solo Sikoa is related to the Usos, and I do not mean this to be mean, but he is not built like the bad street fighter that the announcers are telling me that he is. I'm going to say this very carefully. Solo Sikoa is not on the same ab crunch and sit-up plan that the Usos are. I think I said that safely enough, and that's fine, but that's also true. And your body type has nothing to do with whether you are successful or not, and he is in better shape than I will ever be. But also, he's not on the same sit-up plan, and that seems important to mention. He wins against some enhancement talent with a top rope splash. Ciampa's out to the ring. He says Halloween Havoc was a shift in NXT. Imperium's your new tag champs. Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction. There was a paradigm shift. No, there wasn't. Imperium are now 2-time tag champs. They've been around forever. Mandy Rose was languishing in NXT before they decided to do something with her, and before that, she was on the main roster. She was one of the biggest stories of one of the WrestleManias with her and Otis. The only new people are Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, so half of your team are established veterans in your developmental product. That's not me like being like actually to Tommaso Ciampa. That's me doing that to WWE scripted, trying to reinvent what this was because they think it was a paradigm shift, and it simply was not. It was a bad Halloween Havoc where 2 new people, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, won titles, and 2 established people, or rather 1 established team and 1 person, Imperium and Mandy Rose, became champions. Imperium for the 2nd time. Mandy Rose, I mean, that's her first singles title in WWE, so I guess if you want to stretch it. He says Braun Breaker was supposed to become NXT champ. The problem with that is nobody told Ciampa. Now, Breaker earned my respect last week, but one thing was certain. Ciampa is the god of NXT. Now, I don't know if Ciampa's wrong when he says that, but it did get me to thinking. Not the god of NXT, because I guess that would be Triple H. But like, who's like, when you think of NXT, who's like who's the top of NXT? Like, not based on what they did after, but just in accomplishments in NXT, who's the best? Because I could make a case for Ciampa, I could make a case for Gargano, I could make a case for Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn. I feel like the right answer is Finn Balor. Between being NXT champ the first time, going to the main roster, coming back and being even better the second time, I feel like it's Finn Balor. But I feel like Ciampa and Johnny are not incorrect answers either. I feel like it would have been Samoa Joe, which reminds me, hey, where the hell's Samoa Joe? Did Vince and Bruce realize he was there after they started taking over, and that's why he mysteriously had an injury, had to relinquish the title, and is now nowhere to be seen on TV? Is that what happened? Because they fired him, and Triple H hired him back and made him champ. And then, I see. Okay, I got it. Okay, all right, that's where he is. We're not going to see him. All right, cool. He says, with this title comes great responsibility, a target on my back. With that said, this is usually about the time, and he's interrupted by Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. That was funny. I'm going to give it to him. That was funny. Carmelo says, let's keep it real. I am that guy. I feel like I'm the one that needs to come out and put you in check. If you look around, it's not about y'all anymore. There's a new school on the rise, and I'm the leader of it. Please take this with the most disrespect. As long as I am here, you're going to take a back seat to me. Because I am the A champion of NXT. No, he's not, dude. He had a chance to be the A champion of NXT, and he cashed in on the B title because he's dumb, dude. Here's the thing. I understand that Carmelo Hayes, the actual person, didn't make that decision, but Carmelo Hayes, the character, could have, instead of making the B title the A title, just won the A title with his Money in the Bank contract, but he didn't. He took the less important title and decided to do the very difficult task of making it the A thing. You can't have him win the B title and then just like... You can have him win the B title and insist it's the A title. That's a good bad guy thing. But if he wanted to be the face so much, why didn't he just challenge for the literal most important title when that champion was also on that show, also wrestling Joe Gacy, and you could have done the same thing? It's so stupid. I will not get over it. I refuse. Ciampa said, I almost believed you there until you took your glasses off, and I looked into your eyes and said, oh, he doesn't believe a thing he's saying. And then Trick Williams starts talking, but Ciampa punches out Trick Williams, and Carmelo doesn't do anything. So he's pumped. He's not the man in this situation. It's the literal NXT champion that Carmelo could have been if he hadn't been stupid. Ciampa leaves. They just let him. Cool. Ciampa's still walking up the ramp when the Way music hits, and Johnny Gargano is out. Ciampa has his back to Johnny. He's walking backwards. He's clutching the title, and he's having a lot of feelings. Johnny motions for a second like he's going to hit Ciampa with a crutch, but he doesn't have one. They stare at each other for a while. Johnny says it's been a long time. They face off. Johnny and Dexter are out here for the main event. So obviously Carmelo and Trick win in a short match that, whatever. And Carmelo pins Dexter after Trick Williams hits him, I think, with a shoe? Forget what it was. And they win. So that's it. Not a lot happened. I don't know. Are we still doing takeovers? I hope not, because they're not doing wrestling anymore. I don't know, dude. Let me know what you thought of this weird show. What'd you think of Zion Quinn? I can't decide. It was delightful and awful at the same time, which is kind of cool, actually. I'm at Zach NXT, at ZACHNXT. Go hit me up over there. In the meantime, I will check back with you next week. That is it for NXT, so that is it for me. I have been Zachary Smith. You have been fantastic as always, and thank you for listening.